Flack math! Give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Flack math!
Okay, so 31 and 32. This is the last part of our four-step process to solving equations. We are, everything we've talked about so far, we've combined like terms. We've simplified both sides, but only by combining like terms. Now we get to the other part of simplifying both sides separately is getting rid of parentheses. Parentheses are the enemy of simplification, okay? So the way we get rid of them is distribute. So we're going to remove parentheses by distributing. Okay, so we did talk about the distributive property before. Do you remember the fast way? What's 12 times 15? How do you do that fast? What's 12 times 15?
Just do the 12 times 10.
Yeah, 12 times 10 is 120. And then 5 more 12s is half of 120. So 120 plus 60 is 180, right? So you're doing 12 times 15, but you're doing this. So you go 12 times 10 plus 12 times 5. Okay, so that's 120 plus 60. Well, it's easier in algebra because you're done at this step. You don't have to keep going. So you're going 2 times 3 is 6 minus 2b, and you're done. We've already talked about this, but when it happens in an equation, then that's your first step. That's your first of the first step. See, the first step has like 2 little parts: get rid of parentheses and combine like terms. This is the first of the first step. So the first thing you look for when you're solving an equation is parentheses. If you have parentheses, destroy them. The way you destroy them is, I don't know why this came to mind. This is like a nice couple, and then the adulterer comes in and tears up the family. Okay, but then yeah, becomes, I don't know what that is. Anyway, forget I said that. Okay, so the first step is to get rid of the parentheses. We got rid of the parentheses. The second part of the first step is to look for like terms on the same side. The 6 can't combine with 2b. There's no other constants. There's no other b's on this side. So you're done. Over here, there's no other b's on this side or 5s. So you're done. So you're finished with step 1. Then you go to the blue step. Step 2, where you have variables on both sides. You do, in this case, you have variables on both sides. So what do you do if you have variables on both sides? You get rid of not them, but get rid of one of them. Which one do you want to get rid of? The negative 2b or the 1b?
The smaller one.
Okay, which one's the smaller one?
The negative.
Negatives are always smaller than positives. How do you get rid of minus 2b?
Plus.
Add 2b. Whatever you do to this side, do to this side. Don't hesitate. Okay, so I'm left with 6, right? And then what am I left with over here? What? Well, that's if I were to multiply by 2b, yeah. What am I left with? What's b plus bb? What's b plus 2b? 3b, okay. So, still minus 5. So I write it right underneath the b because I know that I'm going to combine that b with it. I could have said b minus 5 plus 2b and then combine those like terms. That's fine. But just put it right underneath where it goes. So it's kind of like lining up place value when you add. All right, now what? What's the green step? Get rid of the constant on the variable side. What's the constant on the variable side, Kiara?
The 5.
Okay, and what's the 5 doing and how do you get rid of it?
It's subtracting, so you need to add it
Okay,
to both sides.
whatever you do to this side, do to this side immediately. Don't hesitate. 3b on this side and 11. So what's b gonna be? You got it, Kiara?
Yes. B is gonna be 11 over 3.
Yeah, just 11 over 30. You don't have to convert it to a mixed number. But the last step is divide both sides by the coefficient. So you're left with B equals just that. You can change it to 3 2/3 if you want to, but we don't really like mixed numbers in algebra, so just leave it alone. Leave it improper. B equals 11/3. Okay, so this next problem, if you can do this next problem, then you can do any equation with these steps. Is that a knock on our door? Okay, let's open it.
Can everyone with a costume please come outside for pictures?
Okay.
Mercy's in charge?
What?
Is Mercy in charge?
Yeah, Mercy, you need to teach the rest of the class.
His notes are on the table.
Actually, PR
All right, who else? You got a costume? You got a costume?
Did you ask for
Go
anyone in the
get it.
costume?
Yeah, everyone in the costume.
You
Oh,
coming?
Mercy, you're an M&M. That's so cute. I love it.
Are you Eminem, the rapper? What are you
No, I'm that one kid that always wears a hat to school.
wearing?
So you're not
That one-
supposed to.
That one kid. All right.
We all know who your child is.
Looks like you got in a fight. On the bottom, like on like the leg kind of thing.
Oh, mine?
No, not you, her costume.
Oh.
It's like, looks like she was in a fight with another animal.
Yeah.
I mean, you too. Just kidding.
All right. Are you gonna wear that tonight in public places? You go to Chipotle, get a discounted burrito. They used to be free when you dressed up Chipotle, and then they were $1, which I'm like, okay, that's all right. Now they're $6, which was what the price of a burrito used to be. But I'm pretty sure $6 is like half off
It is.
because they're so expensive.
I think they're like $11.
I should have pressed pause, but I didn't. Mercy, did you teach anything? Okay.
She taught us the art of how silence is wisdom.
I'll have to cut that part out. Reminder, cut that part out.
You know, just do like cut.
Okay, all right, let's do another one. Three times parenthesis 1 plus 2x plus 7 equals -4 parenthesis x plus 2. Okay? First step, what? What? What'd you say? You said something. Say that. What'd you say? Just come on, let's do it. Let's just be bold. Be courageous. Be strong. Be brave. Parentheses. Okay, how do you get rid of these parentheses? Send in the homewrecker. Okay, so this distributor is going to distribute to everything in the parenthesis. 3 times 1 is 3. What's 3 times 2x?
3 times 2x.
Say it, quick.
6x.
6x. Okay, so that's everything still plus 7 equals, let's distribute that -4. What do you get? Say it.
-4x.
-4x.
minus 8.
-8 or plus -8. Either way, -4 times 2 is -8. So you can say plus -8 or -8. Everyone okay with that? That means the same thing. Okay. Now we go to the second part of the first step, which is look for any like terms on the same side. See how the first step says simplify both sides separately. So you're just looking at the left side to see if you can simplify it, and you're just looking at the right side to see if you can simplify it. The only thing left to do here is what?
Rearrange it.
Huh?
Rearrange it so that the x's are on one side and the numbers without x's are on
Well, yeah, but that's not, yeah, but not yet. What can you do before you start doing that on the left side? Someone else see it? Elliot?
Combine like terms.
Yep. So basically the 3 and the 7, right? There's no other x's, but you can always combine constants. What's 3 plus 7?
10.
Okay, so you have 6x plus 10 equals -4x minus 8. There's no like terms on the right side that can be combined. That's as simple as you can get it. All right, now we start the elimination process. After we've cleaned up both sides, we start the elimination process. The first thing you're going to look for is to see if you have variables on both sides. Because how are you going to get the variable by itself when the variable is schizophrenic, okay? You don't know which personality, which x to get by itself if there's x's on both sides. So how do you solve the problem?
Like Maria.
Like Maria?
Go for the smallest one.
Yeah, you get rid of it. You just get rid of the smaller problem, the easy target.
It's always
Which
easier
one's
to beat
smaller?
a midget than a big guy.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, he's gonna leave that in.
Probably, I'm gonna forget it. So this -4x, what do? That's smaller. How do you get rid of -4x? You add 4x. So that's what we'll do. Add 4x plus 4x. Because if you think about it, it's kind of weird to think about it this way because, well, 4x isn't being subtracted. Well, it kind of is. But to cancel it out, you would add 4x and those 4x's would cancel. So you have 10x plus 10, and then you just have, what do you have on the right side? What are you left with on the right side? Kiara?
-8.
-8, not 8. -8. Okay? So now we've got a variable by itself. Now we can start thinking guard duty. We can start taking out the guards, right? Because we didn't know which one to rescue. So if we have two variables, let's just sounds bad. Let's just like, all right, you aren't worth rescuing. We're gonna go for this one. Or they kind of came over. All the prisoners came over to this side, I guess you could say that. All right, so what do you want to take out first? Elliot.
The plus 10.
Yeah, so in the steps on the board say eliminate the constant from the variable sign. If you eliminate the constant over here, then you're just going to have more problems over on the variable side. You want to get rid of the problems on the variable side. Get rid of the 10 by subtracting 10 because it's the opposite of adding. So 10x equals, okay, what's that? -8 minus 10. What does that equal?
-18.
-18. Now what? Eva, you look like you're raising your hand. How do you get rid of that 10? What is that 10 doing to that poor x? You just refuse to talk to me. Am I that mean? How do you get rid of the 10? Ilya?
Divide.
Divide by 10, divide by 10. Okay, well, 10 doesn't go into 18 or -18. So what's the only thing left you can do?
Divide by 2.
Well, not divide by 2, but reduce it by 2.
Put
Yep.
the 10 under the 18 and then you can
Yep.
reduce it to negative 908.
Good. So that's it. So that's, since you can't divide it, but don't, just make sure it's reduced, because that's what you should always do when you have a fractional answer, is just make sure it's reduced. We don't care about mixed numbers. We just want to reduce it. What were you gonna say?
It's not related to that,
Okay.
but,
Since when has that been a problem?
so I went to the thrift store too, right, and stuff, and can I show you what I found, Mr. Flack?
You did. What about Toy Story 2? Is that what you said?
No, I went to the thrift store too.
Oh,
Can I show you what I found?
yeah. Aww.
You should show it to the camera.
Elliot. It's a little cute little ET. This one's much cuter than the real ET.
I considered getting it
Elliot.
just to bring
Nice. Can I give it to Elliot? Because they're like lifelong friends. I don't know if you knew that. But have you watched it yet?
No.
Okay. Take your time. You know, you got to be ready for it. Get some Kleenexes because it's a tearjerker. Let's do example 3. Let's just do it. Okay. Example 3. Here we go. How about we do this for a free problem set? So take out paper if you dare. So let's try it. If you get it right, I'll give you some Flack attack points. If you're first one to get it right, I'll give you a free problem set. Sound good?
You know it's gonna be hard if he's gonna give everyone Flack attack points.
So this one is not the prettiest answer, but at least it's an okay answer. It is a fractional answer, okay? Let me just tell you. You're gonna get a fraction as an answer, but it's not a terrible fraction. It's quite friendly. It's a friendly fraction, not one of those bad fractions.
And you can't use calculators for this?
Yes, you can use a calculator, but give me your answer as a fraction. That's the easiest way to do it. Here we go, example 3. 15 times parenthesis 4 minus 5x parenthesis equals 16 times parenthesis 4 minus 6x parenthesis plus 10. Ready, go.
Mr. Flack?
Okay. You guys pronounce Halloween or Halloween?
Hello. Supposed to be H, right?
Yeah, H-A-L-L.
So it'd be ha. Halloween.
So do people make fun of you when you walk down the hall?
Making all sound.
When you walk down the hallway?
Halloween isn't accepted. So.
You would think,
Making
and
all
it's
sound. I
it's
should know.
it's I've heard it both ways, but let's not. My son says Halloween because that's how he was raised, and his in-laws make fun of him. They say, it's Halloween, silly. And you know, I can accept that you can say Halloween or Halloween, but don't make fun of someone who says Halloween or vice versa, because you can say it both ways. That's right. You guys call. Halloween! Happy Halloween! Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
I mean, there's an easier way to say it where no one's gonna doubt how to pronounce it.
What?
Well, my grandma calls it the Devil's Holiday. No, I was kidding.
Got it? Okay, let's see if we can reduce that. Or let's see here, you got 60. So what happened to this side? Oh, the 60, yeah. Okay, so the only thing we did wrong was this, see how the 75 is being subtracted, but the 60 is not being subtracted. So to get rid of it, you have to subtract it. So then you get, instead of 134, you actually get 14. I probably shouldn't have done that, sorry. And then let's see, this is a negative, so negative 75 and a negative 96. So when you bring this over, this is, you're left with negative, so when you bring this over, you're adding 96 to negative 75. So then you end up subtracting. Keep going, trying that. You did everything right, but you just subtracted instead of added, and those negative signs messed you up.
That's Brian. John Jones.
Subtracting. 4. Looks good. Looks good. So then you're subtracting 60. Great. From basically 74, right? Because you've got a 64 and 10, which makes it 74. But you could have done it like that too. 4 plus 10, so you still got 14. So negative 5x plus 14. And then you've got, you still have to deal with that negative. Oh, I see what you did. So to get rid of negative 75x, you add, and then you end up with negative 5x. But then you don't have anything over here, you have a 0 over there. So we'll finish it. Yep, now reduce it. What do you got? It's good, 60 minus 75x, yeah. So that, do you have a calculator? Are you using a calculator? You should use a calculator, because then you don't have to worry about all the boring calculations. And then you've got negative 96x. Everything's perfect so far, except that.
15
That's
times
unfortunate. 75.
16 times.
Nice, good job. See, act all quiet, but
Elliot's really excited. Almost like me when you don't call him.
Good job. Okay.
It's me fast. But I have a 95% chance of getting it right.
Okay. Let's finish this together. So we're gonna distribute 60 minus 75x equals 64 minus 96x plus 10. So let's continue to simplify. The only thing you can do, this stays the same. The only thing you can do is on the right side, combine the 64 and the 10 to 74 minus 96x. Okay, now you want to get rid of the smaller variable term. We've done step 1, now we're doing step blue, step 2. get rid of the smaller variable term. Which one's the smaller variable term? Which one, Elliot?
The negative 96.
Yeah, so it's okay to get rid of that if you wanted to. You would just end up with a negative variable over here, which is fine. It just makes it a little bit more confusing because try to stay away from the negatives. So to get rid of the 96, it's being subtracted. So add 96x to both sides. What happens here is you have a negative 75x and a positive 96x. Those subtract, and you get 21x there. So it's now at 60 instead of minus anything. It's plus 21x because you subtracted 75x and then you added 96x. So you ended up on top 21x. Okay, and then you're just left with the 74 over here, right? Okay, now the green step, get rid of the constant term on the variable side. That's the 60. So subtract 60. So 21x equals 14. Divide by 21 to get rid of that 21, which is multiplying. X equals, reduce this by 7 on top and the bottom, so 2/3. Okay? The only thing about Goodwill is I feel like I'm smelling the person who wore this before me.
That's factual.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend once, and so we
Like-
were talking about old people, and I was like, the only thing that's like kind of displaced with off with old people is just how they smell. It's not, and then my friend he's talking, he's like, yeah, you're right, it kind of smells like, and he was like kind of describing it, and I was like, a thrift store.
Yeah.
So.
What if
Or
somebody died in that nightgown?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
His grandma could have died.
it could, but it was on the lingerie rack, so I don't know.
The lingerie rack is so disgusting.
It's good. Why would you buy used? Anyway, let's just
Those things have
move
probably
on
been there
here.
for years.
Okay, I wanted to go over some of this stuff because it's like, it's potentially confusing. And I'll tell you that my Algebra 2 students still struggle with this as well. But let's just bring it up here. So here's example 4, 12 minus this whole parenthesis, 2x plus 5 equals negative 2 plus parenthesis x minus 3. Okay, here's the deal. You're subtracting this parenthesis. There's no number in front of it, but there is kind of this subtraction sign in front of it. So you're subtracting both of these. So you could rewrite it 12 minus 2x minus 5. But I think it'd probably be easier to just chicken scratch. And so when you chicken scratch, you change the next sign, right? But the next thing is a parenthesis. So you're going to change all the signs in the parenthesis. Okay? When you subtract a whole parenthesis, you're adding the opposite of everything in that parenthesis. Now this one, you can just ignore because there's nothing being distributed. If you want to think about it this way, there's a 1 in front of it. Well, you can just ignore the parentheses. So here's what I'm left with. 12 plus negative 2x plus negative 5 equals negative 2 plus x minus 3. That's it. So make sure you don't get confused by that. When you're subtracting a parenthesis, watch out. Okay, these combine, 7 minus 2x equals negative 5 plus x. I just combine those. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this 2x because it's smaller. The negative 2x is smaller than a positive 1x. So 7 equals negative 5 plus 3x. Now get rid of that negative 5. How do you get rid of negative 5? Yeah, you add 5 to get rid of a negative number. You can add 5, or you could subtract negative 5 because the negative 5 is being added, so do the opposite, subtract negative 5. But subtracting negative 5 is the same thing as adding 5. All right, so 12 equals 3x, and then you can probably do the rest in your head. X equals 4. Okay, let's see, do I need to do that last example? Yeah, should we do another free problem set? Okay, so if Kiara gets this, she will not get a free problem set, but I'll give her some more Flack attack points. But so this is first or nothing. If you're not first, you're last. Here we go. Example 5. Negative parenthesis 4y minus 17 plus parenthesis negative y. Uh-oh, I need more room. Equals parenthesis 2y minus 1 minus parenthesis negative y. Ready, go.
Mr. Flack?
Maybe. What is going on over there? Uncle Kevin came in before class and he said, "What class are you teaching now?" And he asked to trade because he doesn't want to teach the 7th graders.
He's just a grumpy old man.
That's his costume.
Mr. Flack.
Wait,
Mr. Flack.
grumpy old man.
Grumpy old man.
It's this.
No, you're not done with it. What is y equal?
Oh, sorry. My bad. Mr. Flack.
No.
You had your chance.
Well, that's not right.
Okay. Well, I have another one. Then I got also.
Okay. So, what happened to that negative 5y? You didn't do the same thing on both sides. See, that's why if you hit your shoulder, you gotta hit your other shoulder. So how'd you get rid of that negative 5y? What'd you do? You have to add 5y, right? Whatever you do to that side, do to this side. So do that, so add 5y to both sides, and you don't get a 2y. So what you did is you added 5y in your head, but you thought that was a negative 3y, and that would have given you a 2. But Mr. Black. Where is it? Right there?
Yeah.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Almost.
What?
He's not very good.
Okay.
Not quite.
Well, no. I mean, yes. Not quite means wrong.
I know. Yeah, no.
So write out the steps, Mercy. That's why God created pencils and lead and paper
But I'm not allowed to write out the steps.
and trees.
Because I have to do
Good job.
3
See,
steps.
that was worth a free problem set.
Or I'm gonna get yelled at, so.
Back on top. What'd you get? Just tell me.
Someone already got it.
What?
Someone already got it.
Yeah, somebody already got it. What'd you get?
9/4.
9/4. That's right. Let's do it. Were you close, Ava? Were you almost there? Sorry. So I'm just gonna distribute that negative sign. Everybody okay with that? This is negative 4y plus 17. You see why it's plus 17? Okay. Plus negative y equals this. There's nothing being distributed here. There's nothing there. So you just ignore it. Write 2y minus 1. minus negative y is just plus y. All right? Combine like terms, you got plenty to combine here. You got a negative 5y plus 17 equals 3y minus 1. Get rid of the smaller variable term. That's what's next, the blue step. What's smaller, positive 3y or negative 5y?
Negative 5.
How do you get rid of a negative term?
Positive.
You add it. 5y, 5y, 17 equals 8y minus 1. Now get rid of the constant on the variable side, which is now the right side. How do you get rid of minus 1? Add 1. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. See these steps, Mercy? See how it just feels so right and natural? And then you don't have to do anything in your head. She's still got the free problem set, but I'm just helping her perfect her math. So 18 equals 8y. Last step, get rid of that 8. Divide by 8. Divide by 8. You can't divide it, but you can reduce it to 9/4. Very good. Okay, we got one more lesson that we gotta have to crank through in the next 13 minutes. So this is lesson 32. And this is when algebra becomes your friend, because you don't have to do word problems anymore.
I like word problems.
Because all you have to do is translate your word problems into math, and then you're going to let algebra do the work. This is algebra doing the work. Just step by step, get rid of stuff, combine stuff, get there. So we're basically doing word problems the easy way. Nobody likes word problems. You know?
I like word problems.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, Elliot likes word
Shut
problems.
up.
But his best friend's an alien. E.T. But we're not going to judge him. Okay? So we're going to translate this into algebra, and then we're going to solve it. Here's example 1. The sum, what's sum mean? Yep, adding two things, twice a number. How do you say twice a number in algebra? 2n, that's right. And 13 is 75. So let's translate that. So the sum of is basically you're adding two things, okay? Now, usually the word of in math means what? Multiplication, but when it comes after the word sum or product, it's just whatever comes after the word sum is the first thing you're adding. So here's the first thing you're adding, which is twice a number, 2n. And then this and is the connector of the two things you're adding. So if this was product, if it was the product of twice a number and 13, it would be 2n times 13, right? So that word and doesn't necessarily mean addition, but it does in this case because you're talking about a sum. And here's the next connector one, 13. And then how do you say is 75? That's real easy. How do you say is in math? Equals. That's the verb. Usually the verb, if it's a different verb, that's usually the equal sign. Equals 75. Okay, now we know how to solve this. We're actually starting at step 3, the green step, because we don't have variables on either side, or you just have variables on one side, so get rid of the constant on the variable side. So 2n equals 62, n equals 31. So twice the number and 13. So 62 plus 13 is 75, that works. Okay, there's example 1. Let's do example 2. Find a number such that, okay? So you don't have to translate this. This is kind of like the equivalent of a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then after that is when the story begins, right? So this is find a number such that there once was a number. Here's the number's story, okay? So this is all fluff. We don't care about that. Just give me the info. 13 less than twice the number is 137. Okay, don't panic. We got this. How do you say 13 less than? Be careful. How do you say 13 less than? Elliot?
Minus 13.
Something minus 13. Well, that something is going to be this guy right here, twice the number. How do you say twice the number again? 2n. And then how do you say is 137?
Equals 30.
Equals 137. Okay, now we're the same kind of thing where we have to get rid of the constant on the variable side. Plus 13, plus 13. 2n equals 150. N equals 75. Okay, so far so good? All right, let me skip down a couple examples and complicate it. See if you guys can stay with me. So I'm skipping example 3. Uh-oh, I'm going right to example 4. Don't be scared. Example 4 says, find a number which decreased by 18 equals, oh, there's an easy word to translate, 5 times its opposite. Okay? All right. Table number Ilya. How do you say find a number decreased by 18? How do you say that?
So minus is just decreased.
Yep.
So it'd be so that'd be the numbers on the equals. It's kind of
So-
like, yeah, I don't know. my
So
mind's
help me
not
write the first part of this equation. How do you say a number decreased by 18? Use any variable.
X.
So x,
Or actually, no, let's do n.
yeah,
Okay, n minus.
that's it. Yep, n minus 18. Okay, so is English your first language?
No.
Okay, so here's what I've noticed. So I'm not gonna point you out, but I'm gonna point you out. So this stuff is harder for people who are learning English as a second language. I mean, it sounds like it's your first language, but even English just got beat barely. Like you probably learned English the same time or soon after you learned, is it Ukrainian or Russian? Or both? Do you know both? You kind of know both?
I mean, I can understand.
It's kind of like Portuguese and Spanish type of thing.
Well, it's Portuguese and Spanish is a little more different.
Okay,
So they're really similar, just kind of like,
yeah.
I can understand it, I can read it, but then it's kind of like speaking it.
Okay,
Ain't coming.
so like jokes, do you understand like most jokes when people tell jokes?
In English?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, most of my friends are either Russian or Ukrainian, so it's kind of like,
And I feel like that's when you really understand the language, is when you can laugh at a joke. Like me, like I just can't. I'm still in Spanish. Like I'm the guy that's laughing 5 minutes later. Oh, you said, okay. Oh ho, that's right. That means hole in the okay. Okay, so 9 minus 18. All right, how do you say equals? Equals, how do you say 5 times its opposite? 5 times, that's easy. How do you say, what's its? What are we talking about? N is the number, right? So how do you say the opposite of n?
negative n.
That's right. And what's 5 times negative n? Negative 5n. You can just write it like that. Throw the negative out in front, right? And then this is n minus 18. So let's get the, and in this case, you kind of, if you have variables on both sides, but if you get rid of this one, it's going to get rid of everything, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could just bring this n over here. Negative 18 equals negative 6n. Now we divide by negative 6. So see how it's more complicated when you get rid of the bigger variable term? So n still equals positive 3 because you're dividing a negative by a negative. Okay, I'm gonna do one more example.
Yeah, Mr. Flack, it's not because my English is bad, it's because I'm bad at math.
You're not bad at math.
I just looked at it and I just complicated it to the point where it's impossible to do. So I was just like, oh, you gotta do this, and you gotta do this. And
You overthink it. You overthink it. That's not a bad problem. We can fix that. Okay, we get the same result. Here's like another once upon a time. We get the same result if we multiply a number. So here's what we get the same result. If we multiply a number by 3, or if we multiply the number by 5, then add 2. So do you see how I translated that? We get the same result if we multiply a number by 3, or, talking about the same result, here's the other thing that we would get the same result for, multiplying that same number by 5, and then add 2. Well, first of all, that looks weird. So what do you think kind of number we're going to end up with? Elliot?
Negative.
A negative number, right? Because if you multiply a number by 3, that's the same as multiplying a number by 5 and then adding more to it. That's weird, unless it's a negative number. So what do you want to do? How do you want to solve this? I think that hat comes with a little attitude. You just like you have a little, not a bad attitude, but more of like, just like a whatever Mr. Flack attitude. It's not bad. It's not disrespectful at all. But I'm just, that hat just gives you an attitude.
It's the sleep deprivation.
All right, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that you subtract 5 from both.
Yeah, you could. If you subtract 5,
Or you can rearrange it.
you can rearrange. You can subtract the 3 in, but then you have 0, and then you have to get rid of the 2. But since everything's over here anyway, let's just get rid of the 5n. And we'll end up with a negative 2n equals 2, so n equals negative 1.
Yep.
Right? Because when you divide by negative 2, and this might be nice to just list out. Okay? That's all I got. Well done.
Flack!